episode summaries. Today, I'll be doing episode 388. 8 ain't enough. The episode begins right where the last episode left off, with Grovile having been hit by Lovedisk's sweet kiss, and becoming confused as a result. So, Ash was trying his best to get it to snap out of confusion. And eventually, Ash tells it to shake the confusion off, and while it does move, it jumps to one side and begins repeatedly banging its head on one of the towers. Ash tried to warn it not to, but Grovile was too confused to listen, so Brock warned Ash that he should call Grovile back, since May, Max, and Brock had all agreed that the battle wasn't going anywhere with Grovile, and reminded Ash that if he recalled Grovile and sent him out later, the confusion should dissipate. So Ash went to recall Grovile, but he wasn't quick enough, allowing Lovedisk to attack Grovile with a water gun and knock it out in the process, since Grovile was completely unprepared for it due to his confusion. May was in complete shock Grovile lost, especially with it being a grass type, while Max pointed out that Juan surprised Ash with Sweet Kiss to catch him off guard, and Brock added that the combination of water gun and Sweet Kiss was pretty fucking deadly. Ash finally recalled Grovile back, and congratulated it on battling as well as it did, leading Juan to point out that Ash would have a hard time battling in the Hoenn League if such small surprises, such as the one he did, would upset Ash's battle strategy. Ash was kind of pissed off at this, as he wanted to prove he was ready for the Hoenn League, and he sent out his Corphish next, even though Corphish was already tired from the previous round. Meanwhile, as for Team Rocket, Jesse and Meowth were in disguises in the auditorium that Juan performed at last episode, and they were essentially selling tickets, trying to get people to come and buy the tickets with the help of Wobbuffet as well, to Juan, the famous water artist's next performance. And they even had Juan there with them so that he could help them advertise. Yeah, just kidding. He actually wasn't Juan, he was James, disguised as Juan from the last episode. They had given up on their plan to try and steal Juan and Ash and the gang's Pokemon, because that seemed to never work at a gym, and they instead tried to impersonate Juan to make some money off of his identity. However, 3 women then come up to Jesse, Meowth, and Wobbuffet and stake the belief that Juan was actually supposed to be at his gym right now, having a gym battle, because they saw a newspaper just around the corner that said that. Jesse just laughs at this, lying that Juan finished the battle with the challenger so fast that he practically ignored him. To further prove this, James, disguised as Juan, then entered the scene, claiming that he quickly defeated Ash, so he had extra time to do a performance, basically confirming what Jesse just said, and instructed them to buy a ticket for his performance, which would be a water illusion show, if they were able to. Juan then stated that his opponent lost so bad, they lost their charm, but all the ladies hadn't lost theirs, and then kisses their hands and holds their hands, making them blush, essentially trying to do an impression of Juan, leading Meowth and Jesse to sigh, as Meowth stated that James was pretending to be Juan too much, and Jesse stated that James was actually Don Juan, a man known for seducing women, and Meowth and Jesse both hoped that James would remember he was supposed to act like Juan, the gym leader, and not take it too far. Meanwhile, back during the battle at the gym, Corphish was now swimming at full speed towards Lovedisk, and Ash told it to use Bubble Beam, but Lovedisk simply dodged and hits Corphish with a water gun, sending it back far enough to slam against one of the pieces of land outside of the water. Lovedisk then follows up with a Sweet Kiss, but Corphish was able to dodge this and simply just attack with another Bubble Beam, but Lovedisk dodged this by diving into the water, leading Juan to congratulate Lovedisk on its very fast dodging skills. Although Ash had a plan, as he ordered Corphish to use Crab Hammer on the water surface, which, since Corphish had hit the water from high up, because he hadn't landed from his dodge, there was so much momentum that Lovedisk was knocked up out of the water, also creating a huge splash, which means that a whole bunch of water was now raining down onto the battlefield, as Ash told Corphish to go for a Vice Grip on the caught off guard Lovedisk, but Juan just told Lovedisk to dodge, which quieted May, Brock, and Max's cheering, since Lovedisk was able to quickly move away from the Vice Grip and started zipping around the pool at great speed. May and Max were surprised at how fast Lovedisk was, although Brock thought that it made sense, explaining that Lovedisk was taking advantage of its Swift Swim ability, which basically allowed it to move faster when it rained. May realized that when Corphish caused that huge splash that essentially created rain, it was serving the same purpose as normal rain, which was making Lovedisk faster. So really, Corphish's Vice Grip not only missed, but really backfired, as did the Crab Hammer. Lovedisk then uses Water Gun on Corphish, but Ash has Corphish dodge and hit the water with a Bubble Beam. Ash must have heard what Brock, May, and Max said, because this Bubble Beam was able to override the rain that Corphish had created, stopping it, which also stopped Lovedisk's Swift Swim, so it was nowhere near as fast. And since Lovedisk was slower, Corphish could follow up with Crab Hammer, sending Lovedisk flying back into one of the towers and onto a piece of land, causing it to faint. And Sebastian officially declared this, meaning that Ash had 2 Mons down and Juan had 3 Mons down. Ash then congratulates his Corphish, and Juan recalls his Lovedisk, telling it that he appreciated it for doing its best. As for Ash's friends, May and Max were relieved that the round was over and Ash actually got a win, while Brock noted that Juan created his own pace against the challenger. Basically, Brock worried that this was all part of Juan's master plan, and He just wanted Loveless to get knocked out so he could prepare to send out his next Pokemon. And basically, Brock also suspected that Juan could have been saving his best Pokemon for last, and he wanted to eventually get to it before Ash lost all of his Pokemon. And May and Max admitted that this definitely seemed plausible. Without further ado, Juan sends out his fourth Pokemon, a Pokemon that he hadn't even revealed before, that he had a Whiscash. Ash decides to keep Corphish in, and has to use Bubble Beam, but Whiscash counters by using Surf, and the Bubble Beam could basically do no damage against the wave that Whiscash was riding, so the Bubble Beam was stopped. Whiscash then jumps off the surf wave, and his body glows a little as it gathers up energy to go in for a Rock Smash, and this lands hard on Corphish, essentially being a Body Slam and a Rock Smash at the same time. Ash tried to have Corphish dodge, but he couldn't, so when the dust that was kicked up from the Rock Smash cleared, it was revealed that Corphish had been knocked out and lost the battle, leading Juan to congratulate his Whiscash, while Ash was just in awe of how strong Whiscash was. Meanwhile, back to Team Rocket, James had now started his performance, and surprisingly, Jesse and Meowth had actually been able to gather up an audience of people, because James' acting had actually sufficed, it seemed. And James proceeded to hold up two fans that had Team Rocket's logo on them. Hopefully no one spotted this. And right after this, 3 little jets of water come from each fan. And to make the performance even more interesting, James has a jet of water come from his head as well. And Jesse proceeds to hype James up, calling him Juan and all that, and basically saying all these nice things about him, hoping to get some donations of money from the crowd. We then see a view from behind James, revealing that there were hoses leading from the 3 points where we saw water back to a container, and Meowth was repeatedly pushing on a pump to keep the water flowing from the container through the hoses up to James's fans and his head. Basically, James wasn't magically causing water to sprout out. Meowth was just pumping it out of a container. And let's just say, Meowth was extremely goddamn annoyed to be pumping the water and having to do all the hard work, while James just had to flap some fans around and some other bullshit. Although James and Jesse were having their own troubles, because as James was simply waving his fans around a bit, the crowd, including the 3 women from earlier who had been convinced to watch the performance, were completely unimpressed, because they were used to the better performances like the one that we saw at the beginning of the last episode with a real Juan, and questioned why Juan would waste his time on fans, not knowing that he was actually James, obviously. James could sense the crowd's displeasure and mumbled to Jessie that the crowd didn't seem very happy, and Jessie agreed, although she assured James that she had a plan that could get the audience on their side again, announcing to the crowd that Juan would conduct an autograph and photo session after the show, and this excited all of Juan's fans, especially the 3 women from earlier. Meanwhile, back to the battle. Ash told Corphish that it did its best and recalled it as he sent out Swellow. May and Max complimented Ash on this choice, thinking that Swellow's ability to fly should help it in dodging all of Juan's attacks. Swellow then goes in for a quick attack first, but Whiscash stops it by grabbing Swellow in midair with its whiskers. Much to Brock, May, and Max's surprise though, because they thought Whiscash was maybe going to use its whiskers to just hold Swellow back or something, Whiscash used its whiskers to tickle Swellow. Max and Brock were confused, knowing that Tickle lowered the opponent's attack and defense, and Brock didn't see what the point in lowering Swellow's attack and defense were when its speed was its most dangerous stat, and commented on how Juan was truly unpredictable, and probably used that to his advantage. Basically, maybe he would try and do weird things on purpose to throw his opponents off guard. But Juan then did something that I think most trainers would do, which was tell his Whiscash to finish Swellow off with a Hyper Beam, now that Swellow was captured in Whiscash's whiskers. Since Swellow could do nothing but watch itself get hit, May and Max cringed and turned away as Swellow was struck by the Hyper Beam, landing on the ground and skidding into one of the towers. Swellow hits it so hard that the tower falls over, creating a large cloud of dust. And since Juan couldn't see if Swellow was down or not, he just took the safe assumption that Swellow was definitely down, but much to Juan's surprise, but also admiration at Swellow's strength. Despite the extreme damage Swellow had took, it was able to tough it out and flew out of the dust cloud high up into the air. Ash was relieved that Swellow was still able to battle and had to use aerialies, but Juan just had Whiscash dive in the water to dodge. No matter for Swellow though, as it simply just kept its speed up with aerialies, and due to the speed, it was able to dive underwater for a little bit and hit Whiscash from underneath, throwing Whiscash upward out of the water and into the air, allowing for Swellow to come out of the water as well before it drowned. Seeing that his Whiscash had been sent flying into the air, Juan ordered it to quickly turn itself around and fire off a Hyper Beam. So Whiscash used one of its whiskers to grab a tower, and it basically used the momentum from like turning around with its whisker by hanging onto the tower to turn its body around, and then it fired off the Hyper Beam. Swellow simply flies up using a fast quick attack to dodge, and then it follows up by going into an aerial ace. Juan knew the aerial ace could be dangerous like it was before, and told Whiscash to try diving deeper underwater this time to evade, but Swellow simply aimed for Whiscash as it dived towards the water, and both Whiscash and Swellow hit the water at the same time, causing water to splash up around them, but Swellow flies up out of the water, and when all the water cleared, it was revealed that Swellow had struck Whiscash hard and knocked it out. Juan commends Ash and Swellow, impressed that Swellow could go from quick attack straight into aerial ace, telling Ash that his attack combinations have been impressive, and also just compliments how fast Swellow was using quick attack to dodge. Max and May were very happy with Ash's win, with Max especially happy that Juan only had one Pokemon left, but Brock reminded them that Juan likely saved his best Pokemon for last, and also Ash wasn't in a better situation really, because even though Ash did have two Pokemon left, Pikachu and Swallow, whereas Juan only had one left, Pikachu and Swallow were both injured, whereas Juan's last Pokemon hadn't battled yet at all. So if anything, Juan had the advantage. Unfortunately, Juan confirms Brock's suspicions that he saved his last Pokemon for last by declaring that he saved his most cherished partner and strongest Pokemon for last, calling it his dear old friend as he sent out none other than his Milotic. Worrying May and Max, while Juan just smiled. Ash knew that Milotic could be a problem, so he tried to have Swallow get the first attack off by flying towards Milotic, but Milotic used a Hydro Pump first, so Swallow was forced to dodge by using Aerial Ace, and then it pivots this Aerial Ace into an attack, striking Milotic, sending it flying back. Surprising but pleasing, May, Max, and Brock. But Ash, on the other hand, got surprised when Milotic was able to stop itself from flying back by gliding on the water, and then it went towards Swallow using an Iron Tail, although Swallow was able to dodge by using Double Team to project illusions of itself, so that the Iron Tail only hit its illusions, not itself. Milotic wasn't worried though, as it simply just used a twister to destroy all of the duplicates, and also strike the real Swallow at the same time, sending it flying up until it slammed into the ceiling, cracking the ceiling in the process. And also knocking out Swallow as it fell down from the ceiling on top of one of the towers, knocked out. So Sebastian officially declared that Swallow was unable to battle. So both trainers were now down to their last Pokemon. Ash and the gang were all shocked at Milotic's pure strength, although Brock stated that he really had no reason to be shocked, and was surprised that he got shocked along with everyone else, since it should have been obvious that Milotic was powerful, because it was Juan's first partner and his strongest Pokemon. Also complimenting it for being both powerful and beautiful, calling it the perfect partner for Juan, since Juan cared about beauty and power. Ash didn't have much of a choice now, but to send out his only Pokemon remaining, Pikachu. And Pikachu thankfully looked determined as fuck to battle. So it was time for the final match to begin, Milotic versus Pikachu. Juan warned Ash to brace himself for a tough match, and Ash knew that it would definitely be a tough match, as he remembered that Juan told him that Milotic could block any electric attack that he threw at it. So Ash came up with a strategy, ordering an electric attack. Now, I know that sounded stupid, but basically his idea was to have Pikachu use his most powerful Thunderbolt, hoping that Milotic just needed a powerful electric attack to hit it, believing that there's no way a trainer could use a Pokemon's weakness to their full advantage. Sure enough, the Thunderbolt seemed to be doing a lot of damage to Milotic, and May, Max, and Brock all talked about how this was possible, saying that the combination of Ash having the type advantage and the fact that Milotic was in the water was contributing to the damage. Basically, maybe if Milotic was just, on land, the electric attack might not have done much, but due to water conducting electricity, it was doing more damage. Although Juan didn't seem concerned at all, and once the Thunderbolt ended, Juan just calmly called for Milotic to use Recover, and this made Milotic's body glow, and after this glow, it looked entirely healed, shocking Ash and Pikachu, as they didn't know that Milotic could use Recover, leading Juan to state that Recover was one of his favorite moves, because it was very useful both in battles and in contests, explaining he used it a lot in Pokemon contests. May, Max, and Brock were shocked as well, and Juan added that the reason why he had learned Recover for his Pokemon contests was because throughout his many years of participating in Pokemon contests, he had realized that it was important for a Pokemon to maintain a good-looking appearance no matter what phase of the competition, and so they couldn't look all beat up during battle, even if they were beat up. So he learned Recover to make them look better and heal their wounds. Meanwhile, back with Team Rocket, James' performance had ended, so a long line of women, who were basically all who watched Juan's performance because they found him attractive, were waiting in a line for their chance for a free picture and autograph from Juan. But much to the woman's shock and disappointment, Jessie explained to all of them that the autograph and pictures wouldn't be free. They first would have to pay some money and put it into a little rocket box that they had placed beside them, and also that they had Wobbuffet holding as well. The women thought to complain about how they thought this was a free autograph and photo session, but Jessie then calmed their anger by explaining that if they paid for 3 pictures or autographs, then they could get an official rain badge, and not only that, they could get the chance to pick from a whole bunch of bags of badges that each had a different picture of Juan on them, so almost like a collector's set. Basically, Jessie was charging the women for autographs and pictures, but was like, oh, if you buy 3, then you can get this other shit for free, even though it wasn't really free because you had to pay for 3 goddamn pictures and autographs. Once Wobbuffet held up all the bags of badges in a little box, the ladies were so obsessed with them that they immediately started forking over all of their money and dropping it into the money box that Team Rocket had placed, not even noticing that all the bags and the box had Team Rocket logos on them. Seeing the women gladly forking over their money just for pictures and other things related to Juan, Meowth laughed, stating that these women would even buy Juan's old socks if they were for sale. Although Jessie just thanks the crowd and thanks them for all their business and all that, and whispers to James that it was time for them to escape. James protests though, thinking about the autographs and how he actually wanted to give some because he was having a lot of fun acting as Juan, and he didn't want to leave his quote-unquote fans disappointed, even though they were fans of Juan, not actually him. But Jessie forced James to come with her, hooking her arm around his neck and dragging him away, and Meowth and Wobbuffet come along as well, with Meowth riding on Wobbuffet's head. But it was then that the crowd of women realized that the badges that they'd been given were actually just bottle caps. And James, still being dragged, immediately yelled at Jessie, upset at the loss of more of his rare collection of bottle caps. And because of this, James was fucking fuming, but Meowth and Jessie told James that the most important thing right now was getting away with all of the money, and they tried to get away, even though James was still skeptical and had to be dragged away. But the women had also realized that James was James and not Juan, because they believed that Juan would never scam them like the scam that had just happened. So all of the women became determined to get revenge on Team Rocket, with one of the women sending out her Blastoise to use Hydro Pump, sending Team Rocket blasting off. As Team Rocket was blasting off, Jessie had realized that she dropped the box of money, and she screamed at James for slowing them down as they fully blasted off, with Wobbuffet popping out of his Pokeball, even though Jessie tried to recall it to soften its fall. So she was actually trying to be nice, but Wobbuffet just wouldn't stay in its ball. Thankfully for the women, the Blastoise saw the case of money falling and caught it and returned all the money to their respective owners. Meanwhile, back at the gym, Ash saw that maybe electric type attacks weren't the best idea for now, and had Pikachu go for an Iron Tail, but Juan ordered an Iron Tail for Milotic as well, so both Iron Tails collided, and Milotic's attack was much stronger, so Pikachu got flown back as a result. While Pikachu was flying back, and its Iron Tail was still fucking activated, Milotic wasted no time in following up with a Twister, which hit the water, and therefore caused a watery tornado to form in the water and come up, bashing Pikachu onto the ceiling, leading Juan to taunt that the match would be over soon. Ash and the gang were worried that Juan was right, but then Ash got an idea and had Pikachu use Thunderbolt to completely destroy the Twister, freeing Pikachu, who then followed up with a quick attack, charging towards Milotic. Juan, Brock, May, and Max were all amazed at how Pikachu still had enough energy to destroy the Twister, and May questioned how the fuck Pikachu could even destroy the Twister, leading Max and Brock to explain how the Thunderbolt basically countered it. Juan knew he had to step up his game now, seeing Pikachu approach with a quick attack, and Pikachu did manage to get the attack off, but Milotic immediately followed up with a Hydro Pump. But Pikachu simply jumped off the block it was on to dodge, and then it used Thunderbolt. Although the Thunderbolt hit, Milotic shook off the attack like it was nothing, and used Recover to fully heal itself. Pikachu now looked extremely tired from all the battling, while Milotic was entirely healed up, and May got worried at this, though Max and Brock reminded May that Milotic didn't recover completely, as it kept using Recover. It's not that the move became weaker, but it was just that, like, Milotic took more and more damage as the battle went on, so the Recover wouldn't be able to heal up all of its health every time, so Ash had a chance at defeating it. Ash couldn't think of how to defeat the Milotic, though, because even though Milotic was a little exhausted, Pikachu was definitely more so, and Ash didn't know how the fuck to win if Pikachu was so weakened. While Ash was thinking, Juan took the opportunity to have Milotic dive underwater, right as Ash realized that he would have to do something to find a way to stop Milotic from using Recover, because so long as Milotic couldn't heal itself ever, then the Thunderbolt would hopefully have a chance at knocking it out. So, as Milotic swam underwater, trying to ambush Pikachu, Ash thought of something right as Milotic surfaced. Pikachu had been running towards the water per Ash's orders, so Milotic was about to hit Pikachu with an Iron Tail, but thankfully Pikachu was able to dodge at the last second, and starts running up Milotic's body, trying to get to its face. Milotic tries to shake Pikachu off by using a Hydro Pump, but Pikachu simply maneuvers to dodge that, and it leaps forward, grabbing onto Milotic's two red fins right over its face, and it then flips Milotic over its head and into the water, catching Juan off guard, meaning that since he was so shocked, he couldn't do anything, as Ash simply called for a full-powered Thunderbolt. This Thunderbolt not only surges through Milotic, severely injuring it, but it also lights up all of the water in the battlefield, since Milotic was in the water. And eventually, a blast of electrified water bursts up and hits the ceiling, and the whole gym shakes for a little bit. Since the water hitting the ceiling had been pretty strong and caused a little bit of an explosion, but once the steam from the explosion cleared, there was steam because, we were dealing with electrified water here. The water was still electrified, and we see both Milotic and Pikachu float to the surface. Basically, Pikachu had just used Thunderbolt on Milotic while underwater, as Pikachu had dived down to hit Milotic even closer. Pikachu was standing on Milotic, and Milotic was knocked out, so Sebastian officially declared Ash the winner of this battle. Ash then celebrates his win with Pikachu as May, Max, and Brock cheer, and Brock compliments Ash on the brilliant strategy he used, explaining to Max and May that since water conducts electricity, a direct attack underwater was super effective. So Pikachu using Thunderbolt underwater as opposed to from the air was a very good strategy. Juan then thanks Milotic for doing its best and calling it his best friend as he recalls it into his Pokeball. And with that, Ash and the gang, Juan and Sebastian go outside the gym, and Juan congratulates Ash on turning an almost defeat into a victory, saying that only an extraordinary trainer could do this, and as a reward, he gives Ash his final home gym badge as proof of his victory at the Sutopolis gym, the Rain Badge. Ash does his usual badge victory pose, holding up the Rain Badge as he and Pikachu cheered, and Brock, May, and Max congratulated him again as well. And Juan informed Ash that now that he had all 8 home badges, he could now enter the Hoenn League, and congratulated Ash on his victory. Ash jumped up with joy at the fact that he had all 8 badges he needed, while Juan's brother Sebastian congratulated Ash on his victory as well, and informed him that the Hoenn League would take place in 3 months in Evergrande City. Juan confirmed this as well, and Ash, even though he was excited to enter the Hoenn League, stated that he was very glad that it was still 3 months away, as he had some training he wanted to do, and promised with Pikachu that they were going to train a lot together. May then mentioned how she wanted to get her the 5th and final ribbon needed for the Hoenn Grand Festival, and Juan became excited, realizing that May was a coordinator as well, and suggested that in the meantime, before the Hoenn League, Ash and the gang go to a Pokemon contest that was happening in Pacific Town, so that May could participate. May instantly became psyched as fuck to win her final ribbon, and asked Max where Pacific Town was. So Max looked at his Pokénav and confirmed that Pacific wasn't too far away from Sutopolis, so May asked if they could go to Pacific next, and Ash and the gang agreed, since there was still 3 months until the Hoenn League. Juan then wishes Ash and May the best, saying that they should give it their all in both the contests and in the Hoenn League, and Ash and May promised to give it their all in their goals. We did it, guys. We finally made it to the last Hoenn Gym badge. Now it's just Hoenn League time. Soon.